Hello and welcome to the wrap up to the March to Madness 2021. We're Mythos Busters. I'm Sean. That's Justin. That's Scott. And we're here to, go over results and announce a winner and probably make you sad in the process. And happy, ideally, both. But, everyone's got their pet investigator and very few of them. So... That's just how it is. I'm there.
Well, a very interesting year. So,
yeah. So I think Justin, like you have been the mastermind behind this entire thing and running all of the mechanics of it behind the scenes. Do you have any opening words for us? Anything you'd like to say?
Let's start with a thank you to everybody who participated. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great discussion. Thanks everybody who got a prediction bracket in. I hope you were following along to see how well or how poorly you did. Most of us did quite poorly.
Can confirm.
And yeah,
it went off the rails immediately.
Yeah. We should have trusted the seeding.
Right.
But no, this is super fun. Year 2 was great. We'll do it again next year. I don't know if it'll be exactly the same or if we'll change it up. So if anybody has any thoughts or feedback, feel free to let us know. This is just a thing that we do sort of this time of year where there's a lull in a lot of stuff, and it's a fun thing to have going on. And then it also plays really well as we play off of what March Madness is to March 2 Madness.
Mm-hmm.
So
one thing I saw actually quite often this year was people were saying, "Where are the parallel investigators?" And so,
I think that's fair. I think they get included next year.
How though? There's 4 different iterations. There's permutations you have to take into.
I would say if you say parallel Daisy, it
We're
just means
parallel
any combination of or just any combination of parallel is all grouped into one.
But actually, those are different investigators, Scott.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we're gonna have a mini March Madness for each investigator that has a parallel. So
yeah, there you go. A Big Kahuna says allies bracket next year. Oh boy, can you imagine what the ally, like the unique ally March to Madness would look like?
Ooh.
That actually don't
tempt me, Frodo.
I will teach one of you how to set up a bracket and run the second one.
Don't tempt me, Frodo.
Scott likes to learn new things.
All right. Well,
I think that was all the intro stuff I had. It was really good. We got good participation, more than last year. Hope everybody had fun with it. Let us know your thoughts. We'll be doing a bunch of cool wrap up articles and stuff like we did last year. There's some more stats oriented stuff. If anybody's seen the stuff that Andy Cotgreave over at Deciphered Reality did, he's got more in the hopper. We've got the fun color commentary wrap up article coming too. So there's still more good stuff to come after this stream, but yeah, this is the meat of it.
Sounds like regardless of your medium, we've got some kind of summary for you, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's hop right into the exciting part and then have a nice debriefing session afterwards, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am putting the final touches. The result is validated. I'm just getting that ready to flip. So if you want to start sharing your screen, it'll be ready here in a second so we can reveal a winner.
So, Sean, I got to ask you. Who do you have winning?
Who do I have winning? Like in my prediction
Who was
bracket?
In your yeah. Was it Diana?
Well, look, yeah, I wrote Diana all the way to the end because the only satisfying victory would have been if she had won it all in the end. But alas, that world is not to be. We live in the darkest timeline. How about you?
Who are you pulling for? Well, okay, so I had Stella. So I still have a horse in this race, although the rest of my bracket just went to absolute shit.
Yeah.
Like it just... The left side went okay. The right side is just... Yeah. So I'm pulling for Stella here. Who are you pulling for?
Okay, so
in
look,
this final 2.
There are factions that have been drawn up in these final days. In going through the March to Madness thread, I know I'm not alone here. I feel like there's everyone who's pulling for Stella on one end, and then everyone who just wants the Stella hype train to end, and it doesn't matter who we're voting for to make it happen. And I am one of those people. So I honestly like Stella deserves to win if she wins it, but part of me just wants to see Trish win. I don't know what that is. Maybe I need to interrogate that with my therapist, but here we are.
Both investigators that were not released as of last March Madness.
That's true.
Either. March of Madness.
Complete newcomers to the scene.
Yeah. That's the thing that I will be curious about is the staying power. You know?
Yeah.
Because we did also see some classic investigators do better than I think we thought they would. And, Ursula, at a certain point, I mean, there's staying power there, except for the fact that Scott summoned all the hate.
She got pretty far, but I knew she was not going to win this year as much as I love her.
There is power in new hotness, obviously. Goran Ivanisevic won Wimbledon at one point. Who's Goran Ivanisevic, you might ask? Exactly.
Is that bowling?
No,
okay.
No. All right. Okay, well,
Checkers?
So Justin, are we validated and ready to reveal?
It is now ready. I am clicking the button and go ahead and refresh your screen.
All right.
Here we go,
Here we
ladies
go.
and gentlemen.
3, 2, 1, refresh.
It's Stella!
Stella.
Everyone acts surprised.
Woo. I'm excited because Stella was my pick in my bracket and kind of who I was slightly pulling for, just, the Survivor stuff. Trish, worthy opponent, though. Worthy opponent.
Well, especially, if you consider kind of the energy of the overall brackets that, honestly, in a lot of cases, and maybe this will be disproven as we go through the brackets, but I feel like in a lot of cases, the new hotness, particularly the starter investigators, made it through pretty far. Except for Harvey. Yeah.
Both of us just dumpster bin Harvey.
So it completely tracks that Trish would be the counterpart to Stella here, being new hotness, being really powerful. And Silas taking third, my man, I'm pretty okay with that. He earned it. It's been a long time.
It was really interesting to see how things shook out where we hadn't seen that many upsets, but we knew it was going to start happening as we got further on. And then to have Trish go in as the 3 seed. And even though, as a high 3 seed, that's still impressive.
Yeah. I'm still surprised by the voting spread on this. It's essentially 60-40. I thought it was going to be much closer.
Yeah. There's a question about how did Silas take third. That's just the arbitrary thing the app does, and I am imagining it's based on the setting of he lost to the eventual winner.
Yeah, it'd be like strength of schedule, usually.
Yeah.
Yep. So, we just saw the championship. Do we want to run it back and start from the beginning? Just start in one of the brackets and work our way through now that all the results are out
Absolutely.
there?
Let's. Okay.
Where are you going, Sean?
Starting out in round
top
one,
left?
let's just top left down. Rex Murphy taking on Harvey Walter. We got the first investigator to ever be eroded versus the most boring seeker to ever seek her.
Yeah, I'm not surprised here.
It doesn't surprise me.
Even Rex still has that Dunwich splash. Yeah.
And even eroded, an extra clue per turn is still great. Sorry,
I really don't mind Harvey. Yeah. I don't mind Harvey. It's just he draws more cards. So yep. So Gloria versus Marie.
This is far
an even bigger blowout than Rex versus Harvey. I don't think that the difference here is accurate, but
well, and you know what the crazy thing is this is just this is showing the actual results, but in the prediction bracket round, 80% of people, so even more people predicted Gloria would win.
Yeah. So
Gloria's strong.
Gloria is very, very, very strong. Marie is great. Like let me say, as someone who's like purple man over here, Marie is fantastic. She's not like weak in by any stretch, but Gloria is so damn strong, particularly in true solo. But it does stagger me a little bit that a promo only investigator won by such a large margin at this point. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then of
Preston
course,
versus Leo.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Really close here though. 53-46.
That is not a large margin.
No, this one was back and forth for quite a while.
I had my bets on Leo just because I've heard complaints about Preston. But thinking now, I think it was more like on Facebook and other places. I think mostly on our server, our Discord server. A lot of people like Preston, but it's like, who's involved in this, right? Like who's participating?
Right.
It's hard to say as far as how that vote's going to go. So, I prefer Preston, but I had gone for Leo.
It honestly surprises me because Preston's a very fun investigator. He's got a cool ability. You kind of have to build very specifically to get the most out of it, and you also kind of have to have a more or less full, or at least very specific collection to be able to get all the things out of him that you want. So it actually surprises me that he runs over someone like Leo, who, like, if you had Corset and Leo, you could probably still make good decks.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, going back real quick, Scott, to the mention of hearing complaints, like that's absolutely a thing that's out there, but I think it's also a good segue into a reminder for anybody who didn't remember about the fact that we don't have criteria for this.
That's true. Right.
So again, for anyone who didn't remember, both in terms of when we were seeding this and for how we were telling people to vote, we're very clear that this is a thing that's for fun. So we're not saying vote on who you think is the most powerful or who is the best in solo versus multiplayer. Vote how you want. It's fun because that adds some of the elements of unpredictability to it.
Oh, it sure did.
Sure.
All right. So
Jacqueline versus Lola. Jacqueline's the new hotness. And
Lola's Lola. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean,
look, I'm not
people struggle
on Lola
to
hate, but I would say that Lola is probably the least accessible investigator to have success with. And I think that's fair and not judgmental to say, and it colors a lot of people's perception of her. Also, she
what
lost
actually
by a very large margin.
Well, despite that margin, though, Lola actually outperformed the prediction from all the prediction brackets that people entered. They thought it was more people thought that Jacqueline would win. So this actually was almost double what people thought in the prediction brackets.
Akachi and Jim. That's about where I thought it'd be.
Yep, that seems about right. Your boring mystics square off. Yep. Seems about right.
Moving on.
Yep.
Like, honestly, I've got nothing else to say there. It's like, I could have seen that one go really either way. I think Akachi, whatever. Still love my Jim, though, in standalone. Calvin versus Mateo.
This one had people fired up in chat.
This one was probably this was the number one one people were talking about for sure in this round, I think.
These are some underdog favorites for some people. Like Calvin, people who really like Calvin, and recently people who like Mateo really like Mateo. But,
and I think Mateo kind of has, I don't know, some previous ill will towards him because I don't think he was. I think I know what you're saying, Justin. Like, we didn't tell everyone, like, vote who you think is the best. I think a large amount of people vote for who they think is best or who they like the most.
Yep.
And generally, who they like the most tends to fall in the lines of who they've had success with. And I think Father Mateo, for a while, had a harder time having success because there were so many other mystics that just, did what any other mystic did, and that's what he does, and like there's nothing super special about him. But Calvin is a difficult one to play because you need a whole different type of play style, a different way to play the deck. However, people talked about him a lot. And so if you were someone who came in and said, "Hey, I'm having trouble with Calvin," people were jumping over each other to give you help, to give you advice, to look over your deck list. And if someone came in and said, "Hey, I'm having trouble with Father Mateo," they'd be like, "Well, just take that deck and put it into any other mystic and you'll do better." Right? Like that was kind of.
I thought that was an in to be like, yeah, we'll just pray.
yeah, just best of luck. But then he had all this blessed stuff come in. Yeah, he had all this blessed stuff tech come in with Innsmouth, and so I thought that was actually going to push him over Calvin. But
look, dude, Spirit of Humanity also came out in Innsmouth, and that is a ridiculously good Calvin card.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of the awesome bless cards came out in Survivor, so Calvin can take them too.
Yep.
So it's
Agree.
The rising tide floats both boats.
Maybe next year we'll see these two square off again and see if things change.
Boy can dream.
Yeah.
All right.
What's on the right side of the bracket for us, Sean?
We've got Nathaniel Cho and Rita Young, our star athletes. And here is where I feel like a lot of people can't figure Rita out, and I consider myself to be among them. Like, I've never had great success with her. I see other people do it, and it seems fun, but I've never quite gotten there. But like, Nacho's just so solid out of the gate, and again, he's the new hotness, so it doesn't really surprise me that there's a pretty wide margin here.
Yeah, I think also Nathaniel's really straightforward to play too. Like, you can. Because he has a starter deck, he has a pre-built deck, and that pre-built deck is really good at doing exactly what it wants to do, which is kill things, right? And play these spirit cards. And it feels really cool. Like, playing Nathaniel is really fun to play all those spirit events that you usually don't include in a lot of other Guardian decks, or at least at the mass that you do in Nathaniel. Rita's more of a puzzle, and I think she shines a lot in 4-player, and I think the majority of the community doesn't do a lot of 4-player. There's some people who have those 4-player groups, and lucky for them. But yeah,
fair. Then we got Joe and Carolyn, which this actually really surprised me. I thought Carolyn had a lot of stands. Like, some people really, really like the support archetype, and I thought they were going to turn out en masse, push Carolyn through at least a little bit farther. But Joe took it by an amount.
And we'll need to look at the data, and it might be in one of the write-ups that follows, but Carolyn was one where she had the people who like really are the stands for her, and then the other people who, similar to what we saw with like Rita and even Mateo, where they just almost across the board wanted to just lump her in on the low end of things. And that was more in the seating, but I imagine that carried over to the voting as well.
I mean, the fact that I can name a couple Carolyn stands and not name a single Joe Diamond stand. Right. I'm surprised this wasn't like razor thin close. And they're also both like super techie builds, right? Like, Carolyn, you have she has just this weird mess of different cards she can take from all different colors, and then Joe, you have your hunch deck. It's just I thought this would have been closer.
And we, in the next match, have Tommy taking out Jenny, of all people. You want to talk about, like, weird, crazy fan favorites that got upset? People feel a little bored with Jenny now.
Speaking of the upsets, in the prediction round, Jenny actually got 50.6% of the predictions to move on. And then this one, in the actual voting, was really back and forth until about the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is close. I mean, I thought Jenny was going to take it, personally, just because, I don't know, she's been a favorite since Dunwich. Always recommended to new players, like, hey, here's a really straightforward 3s across the board. You can kind of do anything, and extra resources, like, just, you don't have, like, you can fumble on your curve a bit and still be okay. So.
Yeah. Then we got Amanda and Skids. New hotness winning out again, although it is Skids. So
yeah, and I mean, I realize like the meme about Skid and stuff. Yeah,
Sorry,
I thought this would be
He still
no,
outperformed the predictions, so that's something.
This is about where I thought he'd land, like 75-25-ish. But
and then we
Dexter
got,
versus Norman.
Yeah, so we got two purple investigators squaring off, as you do. And the newness won.
Well, I don't know.
I feel like a lot of people find Norman to be inscrutable, so that doesn't help.
I think he intimidates a lot of people.
Yeah.
And rightly so. I don't think he's an easy one just to throw together. Whereas Dexter, it's like, put assets in your deck.
Yep.
Okay, right? And Norman requires... Yeah. Norman, he's one of the only investigators where you pretty much have to plan a deck from the full build backwards, right?
Yep. Yeah. You have to know what your 5 level zeros are. That's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agree. So, and also he is one of the few remaining investigators who was not released in a normal release. He's still promo, so that doesn't help him at all, I'm sure.
And he is the only investigator where dual class cards don't work the way you want them to. Like, it's just because he doesn't have also or something on the back of his card. There's something weird about the wording. All I know is that Norman gets screwed over on dual class cards. So
I'm sure we're gonna, well, hopefully we'll see an errata when he's actually released, but we'll see.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. We've got Roland and Sister Mary on the next one, and for once here, the old faithful won out against the new hotness.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Roland's just a little too consistent for everyone.
I think he's consistent, and I think the only complaint I've seen about Sister Mary, oddly enough, on our Discord at least, and also on the Facebook group, is people feel like they're forced into playing Bless with Sister Mary.
Sure.
And I mean, I get that. But also on the other hand, I'm like, well, that if you want to play Super Bless, that's your investigator, that's what she does.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
You know, I wonder how much of the other new investigators shining so much overshadowed Sister Mary.
Yeah, Sister Mary's kind of like one of those, I call them math investigators. Ones that just like Jenny or Jim or Akachi, right? They just make certain parts of the game math better, make the chaos bag slightly easier. You get more charges on your assets, stuff like that. Sister Mary's just tossing in blesses. So the bag's just a bit easier. Like, there's nothing big and flashy about it. It's just...
Yeah, there's definitely
you can make it big and flashy. But...
Yeah, there's definitely something about those investigators where the benefit they provide isn't very easily like, haha, that happened.
Mm-hmm. I personally love Sister Mary. I was hoping she'd do a lot better. But I also understand, I think, where people are coming from.
Fair. All right, moving on to round 2. Let's stick in this bracket, I guess. Amanda goes on to face off against Yorick, and she is found wanting. Alas, I knew her well, Horatio.
I'm surprised by this. I thought this would be way closer, and I honestly didn't know where it was going to end up because Yorick's an old favorite, but Amanda is just the new jank. So,
but old school recursion is going to carry you through a fair ways, it turns out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you like recurring cards that shouldn't be played 6 times a game, you like Yorick.
I was just generally surprised with Yorick throughout this tournament. Like, we'll get to it, but especially him coming in at a 3 seed. I thought that would be move on a little and be done. But yeah, just surprising.
Yep.
Dexter takes on fan favorite Daisy in the next one. Daisy comes out triumphant. Daisy's just always been so solid. You remember like in the early episodes, we were like, yeah, Daisy's probably the worst one out of the core box.
Or solo. I believe we said that.
Well, maybe. I can't remember if we qualified that, but there was a certain point where I was like, yeah, well, someone has to come last place at the end. And it's Daisy. But no, she's so super solid, and she's got some fun builds. get access to good cards for what she wants to do.
Mm-hmm. So I think if you look back at the core set, if you played the core set deck, I can understand why we didn't like Daisy.
Right.
Yeah, because she had that Mystic Splash, they wanted too much reliance on her willpower, which was not that well supported in her deck. But now, yeah, she's awesome. So,
moving on from there,
Mark versus Roland.
Yep, the first killer versus the best killer.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least the flashiest killer.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. Mark is just always super solid by any metric you measure him. So here he is, and he punched Roland straight out of the seat. Falcon punched him off the stage.
Mm-hmm. And that was still a respectable showing for Roland compared to what the prediction brackets had for how much people thought Mark was going to win by when they had Roland getting to this level.
Good for Roland. He's got a little pride on his way out. And then we've got Winnie and Safina, who are very hard to compare, I feel. But I have heard someone say at some point that Safina was overrated, so that must have been, for sure, the deciding factor.
Yeah, I think some people blamed me for this, but whatever.
Just the
Hashtag
Safina
deal
stands,
with it.
huh?
Yep. I could have seen this going either way. I know there's a lot of people who don't like the bang bust kind of Winifred. You know, like you said, no one can step on a rake like a rogue. And some people really don't like that. And Safina is really fun and flashy. But Winnie's also flashy, but in a different way. So yeah, I don't know. I was not
like
sure.
A mystic.
Yeah, like she's more mystic than rogue, I feel.
Moving up to the next bracket, Nacho takes on Trish, and y'all, we know how this goes. Despite the new hotness that Nacho brings, Trish got a clue and exhausted him just straight up.
I mean, Nathaniel kills things. Nathaniel deals with enemies. Trish deals with enemies and gets clues.
Simultaneous.
So, yeah, does everything.
Joe and Luke. I mean, Luke we knew was going to be insane because no single investigator has garnered enough rules questions and broken more scenarios than one Luke Robinson.
It was inspired more FAQ entries than,
right.
Yeah. Literally broken scenarios.
Inspires a whole rules meme unto himself in As If.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised he didn't go farther, but yeah, I'm not surprised here.
Yeah.
Ursula over Tommy. Who's surprised here? Absolutely no one.
Creamed. Just absolutely
Ursula
creamed.
is bae. Ursula is bae. So maybe she's riding off the victory from last year, but
she
put in good effort in the regular season. So yeah.
Well, in this one too, she was just shaking off a little bit of the dust, and because she got that bye, because she was predicted to do even 10% better.
Wow. and chat's just throwing shade at me. Oh god. I still love you, Ursula.
The next one tugged at my heartstrings because it's Patrice against Agnes, which just on so many levels is like Sophie's choice for me. Though again, the new hotness. I don't know. Can Patrice still be considered new hotness?
I wouldn't call her new hotness.
Surely people are still figuring out new ways to play her.
Yeah. Well, I think there's. I almost feel like Patrice is more just forgiving because even if half your deck are crap cards, if they have icons on them, they're useful. And you're just going to see your whole deck 3 times a game. So
generally. Yeah,
Agnes is like the all reliable, right? But I think Patrice has that flashy play, which I think a lot of people like.
She's still super solid. Okay, so just thought experiment. If we had included parallel Agnes here instead of regular Agnes, do you think the result would have changed at all?
I think so. I think it'd either be way closer or Agnes would take it.
Well, and I'm going to expand that thought experiment. We can talk about this specific round, but I think we include the parallel in addition to.
Yeah, right.
Because then we can end up in a mirror match.
I would love that. You know what I like from competitive card games?
Yeah.
Mirror matches.
Yeah, that's nothing's more fun than a control deck against a control deck. I honestly don't know, because I feel like the parallel investigators have such a limited audience. Like, you have to be into Arkham enough to watch FFG, and then enough to also like go bother and actually print it for yourself to try it out. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe they wouldn't garner as much support. But yeah, Parallel Agnes is ultimately.
It also brings new splash to the investigator, right? Like new energy to some of the old reliables from the core set.
Very much so. All right, moving from there, back to the first quadrant area place. Waiting for someone to give me the correct term.
Bracket?
I was going to go with region, because I think that's how they break it down, but I was just going to let you keep going, too.
You know, I did my best. I'm happy with my attempt. Round 2 had Rex against Wendy. And, oh boy. I think
Wendy's amazing.
People's disillusionment with Rex came through here, because everyone still loves Wendy. At least 75.7% of people still love Wendy. And then Gloria into Diana.
Whew.
This one was
Tell us about your feelings, Sean.
Well, I have several, because I have a deep emotional attachment to Gloria and a deep emotional attachment to Diana Stanley, though they are not nearly of the same nature at all. I was actually surprised a little bit that Diana's margin was so large here. Gloria's great, especially as we saw in her past performance against Marie here. I don't know. I think maybe possibly part of it is the fact that Gloria's not released in a major product yet. But I'm happy that Diana.
Yeah. I mean, Diana also has a very very vocal stand on a moderately successful podcast.
It's moderately true. It's true, but I only espouse my love in earnest. And I was very quiet during the voting rounds. I don't think I've said a single thing along the lines of vote Diana yet.
Nothing near as what I did with Ursula last year. I agree.
Yeah. I was about to post like the one Diana deck to beat them all on ArkhamDB right as we started this, but I stayed my hand, and that list will remain secret.
I thought you were strategically going to repost the video of you singing to the Diana card on the reveal.
That would have been a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right as she was cruising into Stella.
Stella versus Preston.
Speaking of cruising into Stella,
oof,
just getting sideswiped in the process.
I feel like Stella was leaning out of a car window with a baseball bat, and Preston Fairmont was a mailbox.
I think Preston got some pity votes here, because
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, even this early on, I was like, all right, I like Stella just fine. She's great. But I hate how much people are talking about her, so I think pity votes might have been thrown Preston's way from me. And by votes, I mean vote singular. I didn't multiple vote in any of these, I promise.
Mm-hmm. Preston got hit by a mail truck. Psychopath, yeah.
Min and Finn.
So,
wow, let's talk.
Justin.
Let's talk.
So let's talk. And can we tell on Ian?
By all means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's throw him under the mail truck.
Yeah. So in addition to all of the pings that everyone has graciously put up from me during this as I'm sending out reminders to vote, I also would ping in our Mythos Busters management channel. Hey guys, there's only 4 others of you. Go vote. You know who forgot to vote in this one? Ian. You know who got real lucky that the 2 out of the 3 coin flip for this tiebreaker came down at Finn? Ian.
Because Ian had Finn.
Yeah.
And if he had voted, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely gave him some crap about that.
Yeah. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah. So this was a dead tie and had to go to the tiebreaker.
I'm not surprised that this was literally a tie. Both really great investigators, both favorites, I think. Like a lot of people, will preach their love for either of these. So
yeah, speaking of like the
even
archetype, like Min definitely is in there.
Yeah, even the predictions were almost 50-50 on this.
Oof.
So, and then there is in chat, I forget if this was before or after I mentioned it, there's a question about the coin flip. The tiebreaker was I did a 2 out of 3 coin flip.
I think this is the only bracket where I have both investigators with my criteria for voting this year was how I like them in solo play, and I have current decks built physically for both these investigators or not for solo, for standalone, sorry. And they're my standbys, so
can't go wrong.
Cerebro Min and Succeed by 8 Finn. So
as you do.
Yep.
Moving on, we got Jacqueline and Ashkan. Jacqueline being the new hotness and everyone's recently favorite mystic. But running up against that red power, that red momentum from last year.
Yeah. I mean, and he's got a dog, right? Internet loves doggos and doges, and
we do. Hopefully,
that was the concession this year. If Scott didn't start talking about Ursula,
Steven.
Oh,
hey, hi, Steven.
If Scott didn't talk about Ursula all the time and share a deck, I wouldn't refer to Ashkan as Duke in the bracket.
Oh.
Yeah. So then moving on through Akachi and Silas.
Can I just say? No, please continue with your loving of Silas.
My man Silas showing up hot and heavy in his first round and just being like, "Nah, it is my time." And rightfully so. Silas has been fantastic from release, and he has only gotten better from.
I'm going to officially dibs Silas for our Innsmouth Iron Man. I'm just doing it right now. I just finished my base check playthrough of Innsmouth with Casey, with Silas and Amanda, and is this the funnest deck I've ever played? It might be.
Whoa.
It might be.
That is not a light charge to levy, sir.
With the cards that he has access to, yeah, Innsmouth gave him huge boosts. Anyways, super fun.
Well, related to that, send me your deck list because I'm finishing up Silas with Sean on our face check, and I just want to compare. I'm just curious.
I will gladly send that to you.
Calvin
versus Mandy.
Yes.
Ooh.
So
this is way closer than I thought it would be. Yeah. I thought Mandy was gonna just crush.
I wasn't sure where Mandy would end up in this tournament, having recently had a bunch of taboo that very directly affect her normal build, or at least some of her auto includes. But apparently people still like her. Apparently that hasn't affected a whole lot.
I think people might be happy with the taboo that she's kind of been. I mean, at least Rook got knocked down a bit, so she's she has to earn some XP before she's absolutely broken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also going to use this matchup with it being closer than I think anybody expected. Shout out to the Calvin stands because they definitely at this point were more vocal, and so it does actually matter when we're not just joking when we say go advocate for your favorite. So. Whether you're into Calvin or any of the other investigators next year, please be sure you're vocal, be out there, comment on the Reddit threads, on the Facebook, everything. That's not just us trying to drive engagement for that stuff. It matters and it's fun and it just gets people talking.
I think one cool thing about where we sit with this at the moment is that March to Madness is big enough and wide enough that there's a lot of unpredictability in what happens, but it's also still small enough that grassroots movements like that can have an effect. So
yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Anyway, and then we got Tony and Zoe. And my God, I did not expect Tony to come out on top of this because I thought everyone loved Zoe. And Tony's great, but he's also not Zoe. But yeah, apparently that didn't matter.
Yeah, the predictions for this one were almost 50-50.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised there's it was 60-40. I thought this was going to be closer to a coin flip.
For sure. All right, let's stick in that quadrant. Sweet 16, we have Ashkan against Silas. Red on red action. And apparently sexy, beefy romance novel cover man beat cute, cuddly, adorable doggo.
I thought this one was going to be closer. And the predictions were at like 52-48. Silas winning. But yeah, I really thought Ashkan would have a little bit more respectable showing, if for no other reason than the dog love.
Well, dog love matters, but I don't know if you know this, but Silas is really, really good. And, and cute to boot.
Oh, Silas. Yeah, good looking man. I mean, everyone's like, ooh, dogs, but like, I mean, if you're gonna look at somebody, Silas,
that
right?
Motherfucking eye patch. Look at that drip.
Mm-hmm.
Mandy and Tony. Again. This was
I'm
just
surprised
me
it's
not
that close.
Yeah. Again, this is just me not really understanding where Mandy sits in the cultural consciousness right now, post taboo. But yeah, came out on top. I'm both surprised and not surprised.
Yeah, barely. I'm not just talking percentage. Like, this was down to the final hour.
Oof.
Yeah. Yep. And it was Tony actually led for a good chunk of this.
All right, moving up to the northwestern quadrosphere. We've got Wendy and Diana, and oh boy, what a tight fight! What a tight fight!
Yep, that is. I thought Wendy was gonna win. Quite honest, like she is so well loved. But
yeah, let me find one bit of data here before I forget on this one, guys.
Yeah.
Although I do enjoy Diana just like not letting the encounter deck do things.
Yes. So 2 votes. 2 votes.
Wow.
Yep.
Only one of those is mine. The one.
That's true. Yeah. So what you're saying is your vote didn't matter.
Well, I suppose that's true.
Yeah.
Technically that's true. It was cast purely for love.
Yep.
Psychopath. Yeah, we used to call Wendy the Red Queen, but I don't know. Does the mantle passed at this point?
I mean, Stella won, and she could be a Red Queen. So
there's an argument to be made.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of Stella and Finn, oh boy, as well as Finn had done against some tough opponents up to this point. Oh boy, he just got crushed.
Just another green mailbox to meet Stella's bat. That
he is finished.
Neither rain nor snow nor bootleggers.
Nor rogues.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, hopping over to the northeastern region, if my mouse will allow. Trish versus Luke. Talk about another tight fight.
I had Luke here. I thought Luke was going to win like a 60-40 split. I knew Trish had a lot of fans, but I mean, Luke is just busted. But I mean, I don't know. Some people are making the same claim about Trish, and like, I mean, I realize a lot of people, again, not basing on strength, but also just fun to play, like Trish and all her tricks, but like the gate box just allows some really goofy things. So,
yeah, this one was also 2 votes that did it.
Yeah, I fully expected like the Munchkin lovers in all of us to push Luke through basically to the at least to the 8th. But yeah, I guess enough people have tried Trish and found her to be fantastic. Ursula and Patrice, largely unsurprising, though no less sad as a result.
Yeah, and I hate to say I think this is closer than I thought it would be. Like I was thinking again more of a 60-40 split. I mean, 55-45 isn't bad as well, but
this one was actually running closer to 50-50 for most of it.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, then we had Yorick versus Daisy. And I do like the tight margin on this one. It makes me happy that knocking Daisy out didn't come easily. Even to Yorick, who by all rights is pretty fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Yorick is really good, really janky, though he does get a lot of hate because of his recursion. And that's one of the... If there's a main complaint about survivors right now, it's the recursion and some of their tools and recurring some of those tools. And so I think a lot of people are like not a fan of survivors right now.
Wait,
but
are survivors the new seekers? Have we come full circle?
If there is a class that is challenging seekers for people being mad at them, I think it would be survivors, yes. And only because the recent like when, the great Seeker nerfing of 2020, when that taboo list came out, right? It was just like a lawnmower to a bunch of yellow grass. Yeah, I think there's a number of cards in this since the last, what do you call it? Taboo list. I think there's going to be quite a few cards of Survivor that are nerfed. So we'll see. So I'm very surprised that it was this close, and I think I thought Daisy was gonna go a bit farther.
Yeah, well, and so this one, especially with this is where we started to see more of the upsets. Yorick actually, other than the initial like hour where they trade votes until we get a critical mass, he led the whole way, and it was always by just like the few votes, and then Daisy would catch up in that few more. So it was tight, but it was surprising to see him just get that lead and hold it.
Mm-hmm. When I see people mentioning, I believe it's a watchful piece is the card, but is now nicknamed Shirt.
Shirt
because of Silas's flannel shirt.
Because Silas is very, very obviously a flannel and hoodie bisexual. That's the internet trope that goes with that card.
Survivors get the best nicknames for cards, like Shirt, Thud for Stunning Blow,
Brexit.
Was it Brexit for EU Catastrophe? Yeah. Oh God, I love the nicknames. All right. Anyways,
as we approach
Survivors.
the final four, I'm gonna go grab myself a beer so you guys crack this last one without me.
All right, Mark Harrigan. Yeah. Mark Harrigan and Winifred. I think here we have the boom bust investigator versus the all reliable, steady as he goes, I guess, investigator. I am one to more prefer the steady as you go, but
yeah, I didn't know what to do with Mark throughout this tournament because it is that old reliable at this point, and just not just reliable but very good at what he does. And I've played Winnie a couple times. She's fun. I've played Mark a couple times. He's great. So this one I didn't know what to do with it, but it feels about right based on what we're seeing with the rest of this.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I like in my heart, I think this is the right balance for me. But I think based on the community, I thought it'd be a bit closer, like maybe a 55-45, or even like a 52-48 kind of thing. Because I feel like both are really flashy in their own way. Mark is flashy in that, like, hey, look at me absolutely wipe the board of all enemies in a single turn and draw a card while I'm doing it. And Winnie is, look at all the things I'm throwing around, drawing cards, committing cards, doing extra actions, whatever with all the skill cards. Like it's an incredible like. I feel like when you play Winnie, you have to have a handful of glitter in your pocket for every turn, and you're just like throwing the glitter up each turn as you just do this next crazy thing. Whereas Mark is just like nose to the grindstone, doing what he needs to do to help the team.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this one ended up, compared to the prediction brackets, Winnie did about 10% better than people predicted for those who had this matchup occurring here. So, yeah, I don't know. I would have liked to see it slightly tighter for some reason. That's just a gut check, but I'm good with it.
All right. Well, moving on to Mark Harrigan and William Yorick. We're now in the Elite Eight in the Southeast Division. This is way closer than I think it has business being. And as much as I love Yorick, I thought Mark was going to be a heavy, like, 60-40 here.
Yeah, this one came down to... Please hold.
Sean, you're muted.
Am I? Am I still?
Now you're good.
This one came down to 7 votes.
Oof.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Again, right, like, that negative feeling... That slight negative feeling in the community regarding the recursion and the abuse that survivors can do right now. I thought Yorick would go a little more south. Plus, Mark is just, again, like we said, super reliable at what he does.
It's also interesting because, like, I'm trying to look through here. There's a few instances of it, but like, you can build Mark for solo, and he's actually surprisingly good in Sophie. But largely, I think people would describe Mark as a killer, right? Largely, people would describe Yorick as a killer. It's just interesting to see some of these matchups where they're like the same archetype, and how that plays into it.
It's funny, they can both flex a bit into clues, but they do it very similarly, but also super different at the same time, just because William has a bunch of the weird survivor clue stuff.
All right.
Going up top, Trish versus Ursula.
You got Sonic versus Mario.
I did not see Trish taking this one. I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be the same numbers, just reversed.
To be completely honest, that's where I was at with it. I feel like possibly the spite votes from last year came out in Ursula's disfavor this time.
Well, I mean, Trish did make it to the finals, right? And she is very good. And also, I mean, I've touted Ursula as one of the best solo investigators. And you know what? Trish quickly made her way up there as well. So, I mean, yeah, both super strong solo investigators. I think our community has a slight solo bent just because of, you have hardcore players who don't have anyone to play with. And especially now during quarantine, everyone's thinking more about solo play. This was a match, Battle of the Titans.
Scott.
Shadow Ari in chat. The Northeast bracket, also the bracket. Yeah. Pedal the metal.
All right, this is what I needed to have some alcohol for. Here we are.
All right.
We've reached it.
Pour
one out for my... No, it's not. I'll drink it, though. I'm going to drink one for Diana.
I will cheers to my lady Stella.
Mm-hmm.
I
can't say I'm surprised.
Diana
doesn't stop me from being disappointed.
She was in a mailbox.
That's true. She blocked the letter from being shoved in.
Yeah, she well, I mean, like, she missed the baseball bat, right? The drive-by car baseball bat mailbox. Like, she didn't get destroyed like the others, but I mean, look at it this way. Diana only lost because she faced the champ.
That's true. Like, everyone else got beat by Stella too by a fairly large margin. Well, ish. But yeah, there's no shame in it. There's no shame. Someday, everyone will see the wonderfulness that is and flexibleness that is Diana Stanley. both in solo and in multiplayer. But it is
you have a whole year to preach the good word that is Diana and get people primed for next year.
Get some Stanley stands up in here. Okay, I'll have comments about Stella when we reach the end. But anyway, moving into the Elite 8 of the Southwest one, we have Silas and Mandy. And for how well Mandy had done up to this point, I'm surprised that Silas beat her by a 2/3 margin.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Mandy, like, looking back at her wins, she was 55-45, 52-48. Like, she was doing okay, taking out some favorites, right? Like Calvin and Tony.
Yeah.
But not winning by huge amounts. And Silas is just, I mean, I think he got a bit of the Innsmouth boost. One, he's like one of the, I think one of the favorite novel investigators to come out. Generally well received.
That's fair to say.
Then he comes out in this campaign, and it's a campaign that's like, or in this deluxe box, and it's deluxe box that's like tweaked for him. You know, like he is the Innsmouth guy.
And then Unrelenting was released as well.
And I mean, just Survivor jank, right?
Well, and remember too, so this is Mandy is technically the favorite here. But these two were the reason they're in this bracket together is Mandy was the last person in the first tier and Silas was the first person in the tier 2 investigators. So they're basically right next to each other.
So an upset, but barely.
Yeah. Like I think what the upset is here is the amount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Enough said.
That brings us to the final 4.
Hey, before we dive into talking about the matchups in the Final Four, who of the Final Four do you guys think had to work the hardest to get there?
I'm gonna say Mark.
That was my gut as well.
Okay, because he had to go through. If we look at that quadrant, he had to go through Yorick right before he got there.
Winnie.
Yeah.
Roland.
Okay, so if that's our metric,
ooh,
Silas.
It might be Trish then.
Silas had to go through Ashkan.
Yeah, I think it might be Trish. Because it certainly wasn't Stella.
Hey.
Justin, do you have stats for this, or is this just a hypothetical?
No, this is
Trish.
I'm just curious because I mean we can look at the stats and we've been talking through it, but this is more a gut check thing about which you felt like.
Like I feel like
who
Trish
had to work harder to get there.
Had to go through at least 2 favorites, and you could argue a third in Nacho. But like her unseating Luke and Ursula is pretty. That's not nothing.
Mm-hmm. And Luke was so close, and Ursula was the champ from last year. Like, yeah, it might be Trish. And then she has to get through Mark Harrigan, like, which she does. Yeah. So okay,
Mark
Trish
was Final Four
Mark.
last year as well, right?
I believe he was. Yeah. I think he was versus Ashkan actually.
Yeah, I feel like Ashkan beat out Mark for the finals.
I am surprised. No, I'm not surprised. I think this could have gone either way. Trish and Mark. I thought Mark had a slight advantage, but
I mean, obviously both.
Safina rounded out our Final Four last year. Safina was Ursula's opponent, so she was our. She was our Trish she was last year's Trish.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Mark is just so solid and like so elemental, and he's probably always going to be in the Elite 8 of this as far as long as we do it, because hey, I kill things with a 5 stat, I'm in the right class, and I draw cards. Like that's just always going to be good. It's just always going to be good. Yeah, I feel like the newness won out for Trish here.
I think maybe possibly also Trish is just a bit more soloable. Like Mark can, but Trish does.
Trish absolutely does.
Yeah. Stella versus Silas. Red matchup. It's gonna be some blood. And yeah, I mean, here's the thing. They both do a different way of handling failure. Stella gets another extra action. Silas pulls a card back. And since we all know that due to the click economy, a card is worth an action, or something like that. I'm just kidding. An action is the more valuable resource here. So
that is true. You reeled it back into reality. Fine with that.
So yeah, so I think like the way they both deal with failure, because that ends up what it is, what's being compared here. Yeah, I think I'd prefer the action over taking the card back, probably. And the thing is, you fail a test in the encounter phase, and you get 4 actions. So you didn't even have to fail at one of your important ones. Plus, Stella has a lot of really fun ways to succeed off of failure. I mean, obviously Silas does as well. But I think Stella's just slightly better in solo. She's got better rounded skills than Silas.
Although they do have the same 2 intellect, that is so important.
True, but Stella also has 3 cards that have 3 wild icons on it.
Her signature is so ridiculous.
They're bonkers, right? Like it's just like
so ridiculous.
Sorry, encounter deck. Are you trying to do something to me? Oh, I fail with the autofail? Yeah, still doesn't do anything. I don't know what you're trying.
And then pull them back with True Survivor or Resourceful because for some reason they're Survivor and not like Nebulous Neutral. Look, we'll get into it in a minute. But I feel the need to say it in this matchup in particular, Silas and Stella. Is Stella that much better? Like, the hype train has been so intense for her, and I know she's good. Is
she that? Are you saying is she that much better than Silas?
Just like, is she actually deserving of the immense hype train that she garnered during this process, or were there more influences in play? And I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, Scott. But
I think Stella has one of the highest. Like she's in that in a group of a few investigators who her skill ceiling is very high, and so if you really especially in the deck building, if you take time and really craft that deck and make important choices, and I think there's a lot of discussion on how to build a really good Stella deck, including the upgrades, right? Especially if you're going to start using, the one where your first test is -1, your next one is Quick Learner. She's abusable. You know what I mean? She can just wring out every advantage. Like wring as in a cloth wringing out water, wring out every ounce of advantage that survivors get from failing forward, while also succeeding with tests. So,
fair enough.
Yeah.
So then, as y'all may have recently heard, then it was Stella against Trish for the final. And here we are. It's Stella. Yay, Stella.
I mean,
respectable showing for Trish, though. I mean, not just to even get there, but then to get that much of the vote with the Stella hype train. Hats off.
Did Silas have the best margin of anyone against Stella?
43.
I think he did.
Yeah.
So Silas fared best, which I guess I'll take some small comfort in.
One thing I'll say too about your question, Justin, from earlier about who worked the hardest. I think it is Trish that probably worked the hardest to get to the championship. I will say, as much as I love Stella, I think she may have had one of the easiest rides.
Well, she probably did based on the seeding, because if she got the overall 1 seed, then it kind of does that alternate snake of then she gets the easiest 2 seed and
like until Diana, she didn't face competition.
No.
You know, like 80-20, 70-30.
No. That's her reward for having a good regular season and getting people to vote for her in the seeding brackets.
You know, I do wonder. Kurhiter points out in the chat that his point is more nuanced than this, but like Stella, just the way she's set up, provides probably the fewest negative player experiences for anyone who may try her. And that does count for a lot because we are emotional beings. And if you get completely creamed in a scenario with an investigator who doesn't have all of the failure protection that Stella does, you might feel differently.
And I think, chat's talking about this too. The story of the investigator and also the representation, like being Arkham's first trans investigator. I'm sure, the community has been amazing about being wanting representation and celebrating representation. And I'm sure that helped get some votes as well. Not to mention, she's a powerhouse. Oh my god.
Look,
so good.
The representation piece is great. I feel like you could also throw very, very similar accolades at Calvin. I feel like what got Stella through to the end is the fact that she's just a machine.
Yep. Yeah, it's a combination of things, right? Like every year we see who makes it how far. I think we can spitball on why they got there. First year, obviously, Ursula. I got her there, and
you helped.
Helped her win, maybe. But like looking this year, everyone, like Mark, constantly doing well. Trish, amazing. Drops into the show in the most recent deluxe box, and already just a power player. Silas been around for a while, but constantly celebrated, and Stella just being an absolute beast. Like they all worked hard to get where they are.
Yeah.
For a multitude of reasons. So
congratulations to Stella and all her stands. You guys get to drink free tonight.
Justin, do you by chance have the stats on how we Mythos Busters did on our brackets?
I can look. Before I do that, I do have to give us a quick correction to our previous statement about Mark, though, because I was only looking to see who Ursula faced in the Final Four last year. Mark actually got knocked out in the Sweet 16 by Safina. Our Final Four last year. Our Final Four last year was Ursula versus Safina, Wendy versus Ashkan, and Ursula versus Ashkan and Ursula.
Right.
Won. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Yeah, but that was part of the discussion of Safina. Last year she beat both Mark and Luke. So I don't know. Luke just has trouble with rogues. It seems.
That is funny.
Yeah. All right. Let me jump over while I try and find this. You guys vamp for a little bit because it'll take me a minute.
Well, I do know from previous conversations that Justin, you were leading for quite a while, and I'm guessing you probably won based on what I know of your bracket.
I didn't. It looks like so. 1, 2.
You didn't.
So Ian came in 5th out of everybody.
Wow.
Please hold. Let me make sure I've actually tabulated or click the calculate button again.
Ian sure did not get 5th because I know who got 5th.
Uh-oh. How do you know?
Well, shall I reveal how I know who got 5th?
By all
Sean,
means.
do you not know the story?
No.
So there is
share it with the class, please.
Nicholas J. Corey, who may or may not have forgotten to submit a bracket.
Yes, let's shame Nick a little more first. 5th out of the Mythos Busters. I meant Ian got 5th out of everybody.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So yes, but please go on about Nick.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So Nick thought that the seating part, like the tier list part, was what he had to do. Yeah. And then he totally forgot. I think he was busy with something. Like he was on vacation. There was some other like life stuff that got in the way, and we didn't actually like at him to make a bracket, and it just kind of got lost in the chatter. And
It was
he
probably
totally
D&D.
forgot to do a prediction bracket. It was probably D&D. Yep. So Nick came last in the Mythos Busters, and it sounds like Ian got first. So
Nick committed the council's
coffers to the bracket. Yes. Amazing.
Love it.
Where are you, Sean?
Oh, I am in rough shape. I'm very, very likely at best I'm in the bottom quartile. And I have to be like far worse than that. I voted purely with my heart this last year, and it didn't do so hot for me.
Yeah, so Ian ended up in 5th. I ended up in, and some of these are ties. Like last year, we'll post this so everybody can see it. Where everybody ended up. Ian was in 5th. I was in 9th. Scott, you were in 18th, and Sean, I can't I have to search for you to find you.
I can't find you.
I get it. I'm terrible at things. I get it.
Diana.
Yeah.
Diana, did you win?
Yeah.
Diana made it to the final. The 8. The place with
Justin,
the things.
Are we announcing the top 3 winners?
I bet we could. Let's
do it.
Let me refresh this here. I will follow up with anybody here who is named via your email, just to confirm. And I apologize on any of if I pronounce anything wrong. So it looks like our first place winner was Wadmander or Wadmander.
Wadmander.
Yep. If I remember from the last time I looked at the bracket, there were only like 3 or 4 misses on it. Definitely.
Hey, he's in chat.
Oh, well, there we go.
Congratulations, Vodmanda.
Yeah. Congrats, man. Sorry, I'm not sure if you're a guy, but congratulations.
Second place then goes to Bowzo, who actually will be doing our wrap up article. I'm collaborating with them again to do the color commentary for this, like last year. That was all fun.
Is Bowzo the guy who did all the magic tricks at Arkham Knights?
No, that was Briscoe.
Pardon me.
So well done there on the second place one, and then third place is just someone with a username of Placid, and then I will be following up at the email address they provided, so we can coordinate prizes. Yeah, because first through third get prizes. I forget exactly what permutation of it, but we're doing the live, laugh, love stuff. Sean, you want to rep that quick?
Live, laugh, love. Place 1 doom on the current agenda. This effect may cause the current agenda to advance.
Yeah. So congratulations.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say congratulations to the winners. I'll be following up with you separately via email, and kudos to everybody else who did well. If you didn't do well, I hope you at least had fun, especially when we weren't seeing many upsets. And then all of a sudden it went off the rails.
Yeah, wow. Yep. The first 2 rounds, it was like, oh yeah. And then like third round, like once you hit the Sweet 16, like people were just table flipping. It was just
and not even just because of at a certain point.
Yeah. And not just because of like upsets, just I don't know, like how people were chatting, right? Like it seems like in the Sweet 16 a lot of number 1 seeded stuff went through, but it was just people said that's when stuff flipped.
I absolutely loved how when we got to the final 4-ish, people started legitimately politicking, and like it's all in fun, and everyone was having a good time with it. But there was some legitimate like propaganda being posted in the March to Madness chat, which was a lot of fun to follow.
Yeah, that channel was just that was a blast.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring that back, regardless of if anything changes with this. But when we do this next year, whatever form it takes. I do see we had some different questions in chat about how different people did. Question about the people who did tier list or voted based on Scrabble score and all that. When we put the list up of how everyone did, those people can reveal themselves, or you can follow up with them. That's just going to be probably the most efficient way to do that, because we have so many to dig through. But yeah, so a lot more to come, but this was fun. Boys, did you have a good time?
I am already looking forward to next year. Like, last year was a blast. I didn't realize how much fun I'd have with it. This year I was like excited in like the month leading up to it. And I just love the excitement that gets around this, right? Like, I don't follow competitive sports really. Like, there's nothing I really watch, and so something like this that has the same feel, where I'm essentially watching a tournament kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone's talking, and yeah, like you said, John, politicking, and just it was so much fun, such an experience. I love it.
It has been fun to watch your enthusiasm grow around this, Scott.
I just like people getting hyped. I don't know.
It's just such a unique energy to bring to something as niche as Arkham Horror LCG, right? Like, and we live in that space. We live in that really weird niche, untreaded space. So at the same time, it also seems very normal to us. But you kind of have to take a step back every once in a while and be like, we just held a popularity contest for all of the characters in this 5-year-old game. And been a fantastic time, and I love the emotional attachment that you have to investigators. I think it's one of the coolest things about this game is that people really connect with some of the characters that you play as, and this is just a really fun extension of that. So thank you, Justin, again for being the mastermind behind this and keeping all the cogs oiled. Is that what you do to cogs?
I was using a lot of cog oil, so
okay.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
Still turning.
Decatur has a good suggestion. We'd love to see MJ's thought on the tournament.
Ooh, we'll have to ask.
That'd be fun to have her on, yeah. And then also, Big Kahuna, burn the red machine to the ground. I feel like this year might cause some Survivor backlash in next year's tournament.
Next year's going to be the year of purple, motherfucker. It's coming.
I'm waiting for memes and propaganda posters to start popping up in there.
Let's all rebel from the red tyranny.
Well, the thing is, if you make the red fail, they're just going to fail forward. So, good luck with that.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I think we're pretty good to wrap up here. We'll be in contact with the winners, and thank you to everyone who participated. Yep. Whether you're here now, which turnout is fantastic. Hi everyone. Thank you for coming in and watching this. And thank you to everyone who voted, and to everyone who politicked and created memes and propaganda for their favorite investigators. That was very, very fun to watch. And we will see you guys next year for March to Madness 2022. 3 Fast, 5 Furious.
Arkham Drift.
The return to
yes.
March to Madness.
That. The returning.
Investigator Boogaloo. This is going terrible. Cut the stream.
Bye, everyone.